If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law of Life provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law of Life with Gary C. Johnson and Keith Casebolt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Simply the Law of Life. I'm Keith Casebolt. My dear friend, Gary C. Johnson, who just said, if we don't ever get started, we're not going to get started, is sitting across from me. Hello.
Amen.
Hello, friend.
Hey, what a wonderful time to be alive. Ooh, good weather, summer. Ooh. Everybody's got their gardens out.
Oh, yeah. I plowed 3 rows last night. And you?
Well, I'm just talking about other people's gardens.
You've been talking about that garden for 20 years.
Well, you know.
A man's got a plan, doesn't he?
Every February
Yeah.
is when I do my gardening.
Yes. I know that.
With the big plans.
I keep waiting on you to walk into the studio with a lot of corn and tomatoes and everything like that, but it hasn't happened yet.
Well, it might. You never know. How's my friends out there doing? You think they're all happy and content?
You know, you got an email that you shared with me that several of our friends are understanding the reverence for life. One of the greatest programs that you ever did, you said, Keith, you know, last week you talked about winning the lottery. What good is it to win the lottery if you don't have any respect for it?
Or the reverence for life.
Yeah, so you've got a life, and if you don't have the reverence for it, and I think our friends are joining in with what you're talking about, and I think they do have the reverence for life.
It is such a beautiful, wonderful world out there that we just forget. This morning I decided to walk early, 6:30.
Beautiful morning to do it.
Well, when I started off, I got a picture of a full moon on my camera.
Yeah?
And when I ended it, about 40 minutes later, I had a picture of the sunrise on my camera.
Now that makes you say, boy, it's good to be here.
Amazing. And they were beautiful pictures.
You told me one time on this radio program, you said, look, I know there's people that love art, but if you'll get up of the morning and catch the sunrise, or you'll go out and catch the sun going down and take some pictures, you'll see artwork like you've never seen.
I just thought it was interesting that within that time frame,
That you
there
could
was
get
a full
both,
moon I could get a picture of, and then a sunrise I could get a picture of.
all while you're taking the walk and taking the body out and doing a good thing, exercising it.
Trying to get some movement going.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a wonderful world.
And had you listened to that little voice that we talk about, you would have stayed in, slept late, and missed all of those good things.
Well, that inner voice a couple of times tried to get me not to get out of bed.
Yeah.
A couple of times it tried to get me to say, well, this morning, you only need to walk a mile instead of 2. Or you don't really need to go up that last hill there.
All you're going to do is hurt your back.
Yeah.
But now I bet when you were done, that voice said, Gary, I'm so proud of you.
Oh, yeah. That's the way it works.
You did such a great job. You got to see the full moon. You got to see the sun. You took pictures. You exercised. What a way to start a day.
By the way, my friends, how are you doing with that little inner voice that talks to you all the time? Don't tell me it doesn't. It does. We all have it.
Oh.
It's universal. And sometimes it will encourage you. And sometimes it will tell you good things about yourself. But most of the time, it will badmouth you. It will tell you you're not worthy. It will tell you that what you're wanting is not something you deserve. It will tell you you can't. It will make you hesitate when you want to do something you should do. That's most of the time. Now, my friends, the question I've got for you is, how do you deal with it? Remember, on some of the programs, if you just tuned in, We used to say, well, you have to just ignore it or you have to just try to shut it up.
Yeah.
Well, you can't ignore it and you can't shut it up. I was wrong.
You can't tell it, hey, I'm in charge either.
Yeah. Hey, I'm busy. I can't talk to you right now.
That failed.
But you can try to reason with it. Give it a name, talk to it. Especially when it's talking negativity to you. Anytime it says something negative, you give it a name, give it your name or whatever. Say, now let's talk about this. Is that true? Let's talk about all the positive things I've got going for me rather than that negative thing you're wanting to talk about.
Well, you know, since you pointed out that we have two inner voices, a good one and a bad one, the wife came up with something good. She said, now, every time I see you frown or get quiet, I'm going to say, I know which voice is talking to you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, wow, you're right. I didn't think about that. When we're smiling and laughing, it's that good inner voice that's talking to us. And when we've got the frown on or we're depressed, it's that inner voice.
Well, it's that voice that is always making assumptions. Remember, one of the rules, the 4 agreement rules, is never make an assumption.
Never assume?
Never assume anything.
Oh, none of us would break that rule, would we?
Yeah. Well, that voice is the one that makes all of those assumptions. And they're usually wrong.
99%?
Right. Oh, and the other rule is don't take anything personal. Well, guess what? That voice in your head is the one that's doing that.
Now, what about these people that would say, but Gary, they're all out to get me?
Mm-hmm. Who are they? Ask it. Well, who are they?
You and I had a great conversation on they. Who are they? Where are they at?
The next time anyone says to you, my friends, they say, ask them who they are.
Yeah.
Who is they?
Who is they? And
Give me their names.
Do you have a phone number for them?
Yeah. So I can call and verify that.
No one can ever tell you who they is.
That's right.
They always
they
say, well,
don't exist.
I heard it, but I don't know who I heard it from. They tell me.
Yeah.
We use that quite often. I actually, not long ago, I was telling Gary about something, quote, that happened in the news. And Gary said, where'd you hear that? I said, well, they told me that it was the truth and that it happened. And you pulled out the they on me. You said, who's they? I said, never mind. I can't remember. I just heard a bunch of gossip, and then I repeated it as if, though, it was the gospel truth. And it ended up there was absolutely no truth to it.
That's how all these crazy conspiracy theories get started.
Because they said.
They say.
Yeah.
And then and when they say it, it's something that you might want to believe anyhow. So you latch on to it because they say.
It confirmed your thinking.
That's
yeah.
right. And then it's what you would like for it to be. So
I'm sure glad they believed like I did. Isn't it wonderful?
Life is wonderful. Being human is wonderful. Even with all the frailties that come with being human, it's wonderful.
You know,
Just to know we're alive.
Until you started teaching what you're teaching, I used to get mad at my faults or my mistakes. Now I find them hilarious. I mean, it's what you do as a human being. You make mistakes and you have faults.
One time my wife Anita said to me, now, just remember, Gary, you're only as stupid as you are. And I think she was talking to me.
Well, I think it's yet to be seen for me, but I can tell you that's a great point. But we've got to learn from everything.
The positive was I realized then that I couldn't be any more stupid than I was.
Yeah, that's as far as you can go.
Yeah. So there was a positive there.
I find it fun to learn and fun from mistakes. Not long ago, I'd made a mistake, and you said, well, why'd you do that? And I said, I just absolutely didn't know any better. That was the answer.
That's the truth.
If I'd have known better, I wouldn't have done it that way.
The thing about it is, everything you do, it's what you think you ought to do, or you wouldn't do it.
At the time, based upon the information you have.
Yeah.
Don't you love it when people are so skilled in something and they look at you and go, "Hey, why'd you screw that up? It's so easy to do." And you're like, "Yeah, it's easy for you, not easy for me."
But I did my best.
I did the best I could do.
Which is another rule. Remember?
Oh,
Always do your best. Put one foot in front of the other each day when you get out of bed and say, today I'm going to do my best. And I'm not ever going to look to see what the best is somebody else is doing.
nor
I'm
am I
going to
going to
compare myself only to me.
nor am I going to be upset when somebody says, "Oh, so and so did that same thing and they did it 10 times better than you did it." Well, congratulations to them. I did the best I could do with it.
And I'm not going to get into that trap of having my little voice badmouth me because I couldn't do it as good as someone else.
That's why we need those people. As you said, what are we do something better than 10,000 other people? Now,
Everybody can.
That's the positive part. The negative part is there's 10,000 people that can do something better than you and I can do.
No question about it.
So don't get too high on your horse because you're better than 10,000 people. There's another 10,000 that can do it better than you.
Well, and go back to the fourth rule, be impeccable with the word. That little voice in your brain is the thing that will absolutely prevent you from being impeccable with the word.
The words that will pass your lips before you give any thought to what you just said are amazing.
And the reason for that rule is words cause wars. Words cause people to lose their job.
Divorce.
Words cause polarization. Words cause immense harm if they're not impeccable, if they're not carefully used. I'm thinking it was Ben Franklin that used to write notes about people. I'm pretty sure it was Ben Franklin. It might have been Thomas. It's one of those guys. Don't hold me to it. And they would badmouth people with notes all the time. One day, one of the persons he was doing that to, where he wasn't being impeccable with the word, challenged him to a duel. And somehow he got out of the duel. And after that, his rule was simply this: I will never speak an ill will word of another human being.
So in other
He
words,
become impeccable with the word.
So in other words, when you're staring down a gun barrel, you realize maybe I shouldn't have said
Maybe
that.
I should have kept my mouth shut.
That will make you impeccable with the word, 100%.
Now, that's a true story. I just don't know which one of those guys it was because I don't remember.
Well, we had a friend one time that told us that he remembered on the schoolyard that he got punched in the nose by a guy. And then he also remembered somebody had said something horrible to him, and he had forgiven the person that punched him in the nose a long time ago, but never forgave the other person who said something ill toward him. So we can get over a punch in the nose or a broken arm, but we can't get over an insult or someone saying something to us that has hurt our feelings.
So I'm going to review with my friends the 4 agreements.
Very important.
One is, we just talked about being impeccable with the word.
Yes.
Never assume anything.
I think that's probably the hardest, to be honest with you.
That's the one the voice uses so much.
Yeah. I mean, it's always telling you somebody's out to get you.
I don't know. Never take anything personal is a hard one, too.
Well, I think it follows the assumption. Once you assume somebody has done something to you, then you take it personal.
And really, only worry about doing your best is difficult because jealousy and envy and all of those things.
Yeah, you got to keep up with the Joneses.
Yeah. But now those are 4 wonderful agreements if we could ever get to the point to where we could get our voice within us to believe in those and help us follow them.
And what I like about it, Gary, just like you talked about whether it was Ben Franklin or Thomas Jefferson, if we could only keep those 4 agreements, our life would have less stress, we would have more friends, we would be happier, healthier, and probably live longer.
Well, if you could just control and do one of them is never assume anything, it would enhance your relationship with your spouse.
1,000%.
Because most of the problems I believe that married people have is based on assumptions that probably aren't true. They assume she was thinking this, or they assume he was thinking that, or they assume he did this because, when it's just an assumption. And it's usually wrong.
Now, that's another great quote. When someone says, I know what you were thinking, well, we virtually know that's impossible.
You hear that all the time in marriages.
Yeah.
I know why you did that. I don't know why you did that.
Yeah, I've got the good answer to when I know what you're thinking. I always answer, I am 100% sure you don't.
That's much worse than you think.
If you only knew what I was thinking, it would be much worse. So our friends, you can use that. If someone says, I know what you're thinking, nope, I'll guarantee you don't.
But isn't it wonderful just to be able to hang out here and have a conversation and talk to our friends and visit with them? This is good.
Well, the program is called Simply the Law of Life, and these are laws of life that can bring you more happiness if you can keep them.
Very few people, if any, can do the 4 agreements. They can do some of them, but it's a big step if you're just aware of them and catch yourself violating.
You know, those are tough, but criticizing, condemning, and complaining.
That's Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that's Dale Carnegie. And I think I told you the story the time that I was on a trip and my mother and father was with me, and I said, let's try to do Gary's test on criticism. And I said, we'll have a conversation and we'll talk in the car, and anytime anybody says anything critical, we'll make a little line on this piece of paper. After about 2 hours, we had a picket fence all the way across the paper. You have no idea
You're doing it.
that you're doing it and the critical things that you're saying.
Always remember, my friends, when you criticize someone to someone else, you don't hurt the person you're criticizing, but you lower yourself immensely in the eyes of the person that you're talking to.
That's a great point. The damage was not done to the person that you showed up or you criticized or you pointed out. The damage was done
to you, and you're standing with that person that you're talking to. Now, I know you folks know what I'm talking about, because think back at the last time someone was being critical of someone to you. Which person did you think the less of? The person that they were being critical of, or the person that was doing the criticizing?
100.
And you will, I guarantee you, 100% of the time, as Keith started to say, that you will say, I felt something wrong and out of kilter with the person doing the talking.
And you know what I've found out about that? You will find yourself saying, oh, look at the time. I need to get somewhere, or because you want to get away from it. You don't want to be associated.
You're on the phone. Oh, there's another call coming in. I got to go. Oh, I hear the doorbell ringing.
Oh, I got a beep. You didn't hear it? Well, I got it. I need to go. I'll talk to you later. It's just something you don't want to be involved with.
You don't want to hear it. Your instinct tells you that if they would criticize that person to you, they would criticize you to them. And it's that gut hunch feeling you get when someone's doing it. And it's really that little truly pure inner voice inside of you that's trying to tell you, get away from this person. You don't want to be part of this.
No, it drags you down.
You don't want to be part of that misery.
And you know what the other thing that you secretly think of? Boy, if they would say that about them, I wonder what they're saying about me.
Well, a whole lot worse, I'm sure.
Yeah, if they're giving this guy the what for, I guarantee it's worse about me.
Same way with someone that's condemning someone. Same way with someone that's complaining. No one wants to hear somebody complain.
No, and Gary, that's something that I think we've gotten into in the culture that I'm not sure I understand. You can have somebody that's done 99 great things for you, 99, and then they do one thing that's not so favorable to you. And what do? You cancel them out of your life completely, forgetting about all of the 99 things that they have done.
Right now with social media, with Twitter, with all of the things, and how instantly people can respond, it's causing immense damage to relationships. Because if you had to wait to respond, then you wouldn't give that same response.
We have had lifelong friends, family members, everybody who have vowed to disconnect with each other because somebody responded and didn't do the 24-hour rule.
Even if they do a 2-hour rule, it would make a difference.
Yeah, because the question that you're putting out to us is it really worth losing my friendship with this person so that I can text this?
There's emotion involved.
Which is crazy.
And emotions are crazy. How many times have we said that on this show?
You're 100% right.
Emotions will cause you to kill yourself. Emotions will cause you to jump off of a bridge. Emotions will start that mouth running when you don't have a clue what it's saying. Emotions are crazy.
And now let's explain that. You've pointed out that if a friend comes to you with a problem, an emotional problem, you can always give them great advice because you're not emotionally involved.
That's right.
But if it's your problem, you can't see the answers because emotion crowds everything.
And if emotion, again, I'll say it on this program, I've said it many times, if emotion is involved in any response you're going to give, wait 24 hours to give the response. That is a rule that will save you more grief than you could ever imagine.
What's the other rule you gave me the other day that you said, Keith, anytime you see a commercial that says you must act now or this offer will not last, don't do it.
Amen. When there's this action, call now if you're going to get this real good deal. Don't call.
The deal will still be there.
If you want, that commercial will probably run 6 months.
But that's the same situation that we're talking about, isn't it?
Call to action.
They're getting you emotional.
Or you better get this car today because they're going like hotcakes. It probably won't be here tomorrow.
And logic would say they'll make another one. There'll be another one. Yeah.
I mean, it's just examples of emotion and decision making. A good salesperson, if they're trying to sell you something, will not turn loose of you until they've got the sale made.
Oh, my goodness. Has any of us ever been to one of those timeshares where they take you in and they offer you a free vacation if you'll just sit through a short 15-minute presentation, which turns out to be an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you have to break free just to get away from them. They know that emotion will make you make a decision that you don't want to make.
And once they get you, they got you. Emotion. Crazy.
Yeah. You know, it is amazing when you put it in perspective like that. And if we would only stop and think about it and think about trying to control the things that you've just pointed out,
My friends,
life would be a lot better.
How many of you have made an emotional response or decision recently?
Hand. I've got my hands up, both of them.
Was it the right one? This is the question I've got for you.
I bought a golf club because it was going to add 20 yards distance. Guess what? It didn't. They forgot to put a warning that you got to have a golf swing in order to use the club. The club didn't do squat for me, but I emotionally wanted that golf club because they told me I could gain 20 yards.
Well, you could if you worked out every day and practiced every day.
And I took lessons.
With your old club.
Yeah, and that's right. But that's exactly what you're talking about. An emotional decision we would have never made if we were thinking logically.
And we do it all the time.
Every day of our lives.
So I guess, my friends, even though you're going to fall into it and you're going to do it, at least be aware of it and maybe sometimes catch yourself and don't do it.
Well, and the other thing I guess you're going to tell us, buying a golf club and losing a little money is nothing like losing a friend, a family member, or something like that because you, in emotion, made a horrible statement.
I don't know how to say this, but once you burn those bridges, it's almost impossible to build them back.
If you do, it'll never be back to the relationship.
You'll never be the same again.
Yeah, it'll always be there.
And you didn't intend to.
And probably didn't even mean it.
What's that old saying? He showed his rear. That's a cultural thing. You young people probably won't get that.
Yeah, just had to.
Yeah.
How many people have said, I just had to set them straight?
Yep, I had to
how'd that work out for you?
Mm-hmm. I had to straighten them out on that. Yeah.
I sure told them. I gave them a good talking. Yeah. I bet you get a Christmas card. It just doesn't work, does it?
No, but trying to control or deal with, make friends with that inner voice so you don't find yourself in those messes is the key.
Yeah.
Because I don't know at the times when I've looked at when some of these stars or these public figures have said something, and then they later said, that's not me. Well, that's true. It's not.
That's not who I am.
That's not who they are.
We hear that on a daily basis now. That's no reflection of who I am, what I said.
Right. Because they let their little inner voice take over.
Yeah.
And then they acted on it. And it's probably not who they are.
But it ruined their lives.
But it ruined them. It cost them their job or whatever.
Yeah.
But my friends that are listening to this program are not going to fall into that. 4 agreements.
Never assume. Always do your best. Don't take anything personal. And be impeccable with the word.
To the best of your ability.
To the best of your ability. It'll be good to hear from you how you do this week on those 4 agreements. You can catch Gary's television show Tuesday nights on WYMT, Simply the Law of Life. It's at 7 p.m. in Eastern Kentucky. A late night replay is in Central Kentucky on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. If you start the week early and start the weekend early, you can catch us on your Fox affiliate in Central Kentucky at 6:30 a.m. on Monday and on Friday. If you would like to make a comment or speak with Gary about a personal injury, you can do that, Gary@GaryCJohnson.com. My friend, this was fun.
It is great fun. It's fun, my friend, to be alive.
Amen. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. Thank you so much for tuning into the program. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week, right here at this same time.
Thank you for listening to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.